Best scenes from Volunteer. Exterior medical clinic day. Chris exits the clinic and joins Michael at the rear of a truck.
Throw some of that water in here and pour the rest into the other truck. Cheers. You're Scottish?
Chris pours the water onto the blood-stained back of one of the trucks and moves on to the next.
Northern Irish.
Sorry, my bad. All kind of sounds the same, you know. Been here long?
Chris jumps back onto the trailer and begins to brush the water and blood off the back.
3 days here. I was working in Desi and heard they needed help up here. Been laboring, helping the nurses, nothing too exciting.
That's pretty shit. Man like you needs to be on the front line.
Front line. I thought the war was over years ago.
Michael sits on the side of the truck.
Agreements were signed, but the die-hard rebels like the LF, the Liberation Front, are pushing their luck with the border. They creep across and wreak fucking havoc, hitting military targets, Ethiopian businesses, transport and shit. So, we head for the smoke, pick up the injured, and take them to the nearest clinic. Usually this one.
Like paramedics?
Chris sits on the 4x4 mimicking Michael.
Yeah, I guess. A white guy like you is gold dust, because as soon as your ass is there, the rebels pull out. They don't know if you're a journalist or a doctor from an agency, they can't risk cutting you down. They can shoot as many Ethiopians and blacks as they want, and no one bats an eyelid, because fuck, this is Africa. But if a white aid worker gets killed, it's global tragedy. Inquiries are started, UN peacekeepers are thrown in, sanctions are made, aid is pulled, because war means refugees, and that's a different matter entirely. No one wants another country's war cast-offs sponging their limited resources. It isn't worth it.
You're American, surely they're not going to shoot you. It doesn't take much for you guys to want to kick off. No offense.
Not to be racist here, but you're white, I'm black. How would they know they were shooting an American until it was too late? So what do you say, you in?
If I can help, yeah, of course. Why not?
Awesome. I'll talk to the big man. Get your shit together. We set off first thing tomorrow.
Interior Chris's room, medical clinic, early morning. A thudding on the door wakes Chris.
Your morning wake-up call, sunshine. It's early, but we need to move.
Chris jumps out of bed and pulls on his combats. Exterior medical center, early morning. The engines on the 4x4s run. Chris exits the clinic, pulling his t-shirt over his head. Michael embraces Odette. Chris freezes at the sight. Jealousy pulls at him.
There he is. You ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Chris walks past Odette.
Hey!
Odette pulls Chris to her. Awkwardly, he hesitates, then returns the hug.
Stay safe. Don't try to be a hero. It doesn't pay off.
Chris nods and follows Michael to the truck. He throws his bag in the back seat and climbs on the open back of the truck with Michael and 2 other volunteers. Exterior 4x4, Ethiopia, day. The 4x4 speeds along a dusty road. The wind hits Chris's face. He surveys the blue sky and beautiful surroundings, exquisite in their composition.
Do we have protective gear?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
Fuck, man, you serious? No, we don't. We're not soldiers. We don't have headgear or body armor. There's no emergency evac. If you're in the shit, then that's where you are.
We drive on in silence.
We got smoke.
A large plume of black smoke unfurls skyward and sporadic gunfire rattles in the distance. 2 cars and a building burn. People drag things through the street, some furniture, some other people. The truck stops and the volunteers jump out, following Michael's direction as he points and shouts orders. Sounds are muffled as Chris takes in the scene. A distant explosion causes him to shudder.
Chris, let's go. You're with me.
Chris's breathing is rapid. His heartbeat quickens as fear takes over. His hand grips the side of the 4x4.
Chris, let's go. Get off the fucking truck and grab that bag.
Michael issues instructions to another volunteer.
I can't.
Michael turns and looks at Chris with incredulity.
Fuck, man, you're shitting me? You need to sort yourself out now. Get off the goddamn truck.
I can't.
Michael shakes his head and grabs the bag.
Fuck, fine. You need to deal with whatever comes to the trucks. Jesus.
Michael runs into the action. Chris closes his eyes and tightens his grip on the 4x4. He stamps his foot.
Fuck! Fuck. This was your one chance to make a difference in your pathetic life, and you screwed up. Take a bow, you fucking loser.
A volunteer number 1 staggers toward Chris with a man on his back.
Help!
Chris wipes his eyes, grabs a medical bag as volunteer number 1 drops to his knees, slides the patient on the ground. Chris pulls on gloves and begins examining him. He looks down. Blood seeps onto his own t-shirt. The patient has lost an arm. Chris slaps his own forehead for not noticing sooner. He grabs a dressing and bandages the stump. Later, Chris and volunteer number 1 carry the patient to a 4x4. Michael stands by the other truck, loading a patient.
Good to see you grew a set. Pull that shit tomorrow and I'll trade you in for someone useful.